All right. Hello, everyone. We are back. I think I'm on Member Stories. I think you're number 9. Member Stories, episode number 9. Don't quote me on that because I could be off. And today I have a super special guest. Nadja Williamson is here, and she has an epic story to tell you all. I'm so excited to get into this. Nadja, why don't you say hi? Go ahead and give us a little bit of your family dynamic.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So, like Ariana said, I am Nadja Williamson, and I am a mommy of 2. Actually, Ariana and I were just talking about this. I have 2 daughters. One is almost 6 years old. She'll be 6 in November. And then the other one is 3.5. And I got hit with the sass bus. Basically, our almost 6-year-old got a double whammy of the sass from both me and my husband. And then the 3.5-year-old she's kind of a terror right now. I mean, she's a terror, but in a really adorable way. So it makes it so difficult to hone in and try to rein in
be angry.
all her, terribleness. But the terrible is cute, and I know it's just a phase, it's a stage. But so we're a little family of 4, and actually that's one of the biggest reasons why I decided to jump into entrepreneurship. And it's because whenever I was pregnant, family is really, really big deal, especially in the Filipino culture. And, the thought of taking maternity leave and then having to come back to work and leaving my kid with a complete stranger, terrified the crap out of me. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I was like, okay, so what kind of network marketing things can I jump into that'll, help supplement or replace my income? And, hard truth, by the way, that doesn't happen easily. So, especially not with network marketing. Those stories that they feed you, they're great, they're motivating, but I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and everybody is always about the quick buck, So that's me skewing off on a tangent like I normally do.
That's the best part about these. Yeah, I love the tangents.
You'll get a lot of tangents from me, I promise.
So your hubby, Renee and Emma are watching. Hi, Renee and Emma. Your hubby still has a 9-to-5, which he loves, correct?
Yes.
So how did that kind of go down when you first brought that idea to the table of, I kind of want to do something else? What do you think?
Well, thankfully, my husband's always been super supportive of everything that I decided to do. And he also knows that I have what you call project ADD. So I'll start something and then I'll get really excited and into it. And then he's like, okay, you're going to lose interest in 20 minutes or whatever. So when I first brought it up, he was like, okay, fine, do whatever it is you need to do. If you want to sell jewelry, go sell jewelry. If you want to sell services, go sell services, whatever it is. So he's always been really super supportive, but it's because he knows that I'm going to change my mind after a little while, because something else, the next shiny object will catch my attention and I'll be like, oh, I want to go do that instead. Squirrel.
I love it. I love it. You are not alone. I know for a fact that a lot of our members and just people in our direct network are, they have that same squirrel tendency. So I love that you can do that with the support of your spouse. That's awesome, because I think it probably would have been a lot harder of a journey if he was not okay with it and you were squirreling off in all these different directions.
Well, and I think you and I are very similar in that too, because Tom really enjoys what he does in his 9-to-5, and so my husband is one of the few people that I know personally who is actually utilizing his degree for what it is. So he has a bachelor's in theater arts, and he's a lighting designer, so he does stage production lighting and all that kind of stuff, which I always think is really fascinating and interesting. Everybody else is always like, oh, wow, that sounds really cool. But he'll be the first to tell you that it's not all it's cracked up to be. It is fun for him because he gets to be creative and, utilize his creative outlet or whatever it is. But dealing with like artists or other lighting designers, you know, other people, just trying to get everything into alignment. Yeah, that's one of the biggest hangups that he has.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because it's funny you say that, because I feel like you and I and Tom have so much in common. We found like our one person who gets along with both of us and is similar to both of us in the weirdest ways. Like, I don't know how that happened, but you always talk about how you love, like, you could listen to Tom talk all day because he is so like the project management stuff and just the way that his brain works. But then you and I have figured out that we're like twins in so many
like
ways.
The same person.
We are. Yep. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm so glad we found this person. But yeah, he does love what he does, but it is sort of similar to where like it seems really cool and he loves certain aspects of it. But when it comes down to it, there's a lot of things that frustrate him in the place that he is now. So, you know, dealing with corporate companies and teams, he loves working with the teams, but, you know, having to have all of the politics involved and, you know, going through the ladders for anything to get done, it has to go through like 5 million people. So he's been oh gosh, seriously. And I'm like, really? You have to deal with all that? No wonder you're frustrated every day you come home. But like for him to be able to bring that in to other projects of ours and like our own businesses, I think that's what really gets him going in the entrepreneur space. Like, hey, I could do what I love to do, but do it with people that I, you know, want to do it with and in a way that I enjoy. So how did you go from your job into the entrepreneur space? Because you kind of did what he's in the place of right now, which is like taking what you knew how to do in your job and then kind of doing that on your own, right?
Yeah. Okay. So my 9 to 5 was actually a super encouraging place for entrepreneurship. Like the owner really pushed and encouraged us to like go out and search for something else, like have a side hustle. He always considered our 9 to 5 office, like he called it a lily pad. He said, I don't want you here for the next 20 years. Like, this is a place where you learn to move on to something bigger and better. And so I feel like I was in a really fortunate situation because not very many employers are that encouraging of things like that. So so he actually promoted you know, higher level learning. Like he was always encouraging us to learn more, whether it was about just topics that we were interested in or like we had a library in our
awesome.
Or a library, but he would collect the great courses. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but the great courses is like they have DVDs and like audios and stuff like that, actual classes. So it's very classroom structured and you get a workbook with it. And so it's lecture style and you learn more about, I mean, it gives a whole range of different topics that you can learn from. But obviously he was more focused on like the Entrepreneur Toolkit was one of the great courses that he had gotten. And then another one was, you know, like literature and history and so he was just always about learning more and just doing something better and bigger than what you currently were in. And so I guess you could say he kind of piqued my interest in entrepreneurship because one of the things that he would always ask me is, well, how do you know what you know now? And I'm like, I don't know. I read and I watch YouTube videos. I don't know. I actually landed my position was created for me. So I started off at the front desk, just like everybody else. You know, I was looking to get into healthcare. And so I figured, hey, start at the bottom, you know, kind of figure out where I wanted to go in that direction. Turns out I had a knack for IT and IT management. So they you know, it morphed into that. And then I became the IT and facilities manager. So I was essentially like the project manager for various departments.
That's why you love Tom's brain.
That's why I love Tom's brain. Yeah. See, he and I we think the same way when it comes to that kind of stuff. Yep. but yeah, it got to the point where, you know, you hit a ceiling with any corporate job. Like, you're going to hit a ceiling. And so my ceiling was the income ceiling, because once I was settled in the comfy position that I was in, there was really nowhere else for me to go. Like, I couldn't be promoted into the manager of the IT manager department, because that was my department, you know. So what, would I be the director of myself? And and then also, you know, like I also felt like I kind of had gotten to the point where I learned not everything that I could have learned, but I learned what I needed to like move on to something else. So I proposed, you know, going from employee to consultant. And the owner was intrigued by the offer, so we discussed it, negotiated it, and then when I left my 9-to-5, they turned into my biggest client. So they were my first and my biggest client when I jumped, you know, feet first into the entrepreneurial pool, I guess you could say.
That is awesome. That is so cool of them to encourage you guys to kind of go out and explore those different things. I think that is just such a great opportunity that they gave you. And then for you to like take that is huge, because even though they give that opportunity out, I'm sure there was probably a lot of people that you worked with that didn't take those steps and like didn't push themselves to move into that space. So how was it? So how long did you do kind of like that project management stuff on your own once you jumped out? And are you still doing it?
Well, okay, so it's kind of a funny story, like a funny little pivot and fork in the road here, because, okay, so while I was learning all the things, I stumbled across a Facebook ad for this sassy little company called Screw the 9-to-5. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of cheeky, you know, that's interesting. What is this all about? And so I attended one of the webinars, and at that point, like Screw the 9-to-5 was focusing on like lifestyle affiliate, which was all affiliate sites. Mm-hmm. So, you know, building your affiliate network and basically being a content marketer, like a content marketer for affiliates.
Yep.
And so the first webinar I did, you know, I got sucked into the dynamic of Josh and Jill Stanton, and I was like, oh, these people are like, they're funny, like they're really cool. I'll keep an eye on them, because at that time I was like, I don't know how I feel about like niche sites or niche affiliates, because I knew nothing about it, so I wanted to learn more. And then it is, because they worked to their Facebook magic, and they like kept popping up in my timeline, and I was like, why are they showing up all the time? Like they keep coming up. And so
they're stalking you.
Finally, they were stalking me, but it worked, because whenever I finally got to that point where I was like, okay, I need to really focus and like go all in. So how am I going to do this? They popped up in my newsfeed again. I hopped on a different webinar, and this time it was for their membership community, Screw You. And Screw You is I have no words for what
there are no words.
Like it's so near and dear to my heart. Like Screw You is one of the most supportive places that I've been in, and I jumped in with the intention of, okay, I'm going to learn all the things, because they showed you know, all the different courses that they have available, all the different content, the things that you would learn. So building the foundation for your business, and then building a website, and then, you know, having the correct copy, like all that kind of stuff. And so I figured, oh, okay, this is the entire package. I'll just like binge on all of the content, and then I'll be on my merry way. Little did I know, I jumped into Screw You. I watched maybe 80% of one course, and then I spent 90% of my time like chatting with all the other members. And then that was it for me. I was a Scroopy for life, because everybody was so supportive. Like even when I was going through you know this, Ariana, you go through your entrepreneurial roller coaster where you hit your highs and you're like, yes, I'm the best. And then 2 seconds later, you're like, oh, fudgesicles, I screwed this up, and this is really terrible, and I don't think I'm cut out for this.
Let's be honest. It's like once a month at least, right?
Well, not even once a month. Like, I feel like, it's almost like a daily thing. Like some days you go through the high and low 3 or 4 times, and then at the end of the day, you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Like, why am I so tired? Oh, because it was an emotional roller coaster. But that was one of the things. Screw You was really what launched my my business, because they helped me build that foundation. And then I was fortunate enough that Jill reached out to me because I was so involved in the community. And she was like, would you like to help manage our free Facebook group? And at that time, the free Facebook group was at, I think, like 15,000 members maybe. And so, it's a pretty big group at the time. And little did we know that it would hit 45,000 and we'd be like, we're done. This is too many people. But that's actually how I transitioned into utilizing like everything that I had learned and all of the, I guess, professional knowledge that I cultivated from my 9-to-5. And then I started implementing it in the Screw the 9-to-5 community. And then I went from, like just part-time Facebook moderator to community manager. And now I am the head of operations for Screw the 9-to-5. So I run their daily operations. I help manage the team. I mean, it's so much fun. And this is everything that I did at my 9-to-5, like all the good things, all of the things that I found fun. I mean, Renee will be the first to tell you that whenever it comes to spreadsheets, I'm all like, ooh, what new formulas can I come up with? Like, how can I do this? And she's like, you're such a nerd.
Yep. There's the Tom kicking in again, the spreadsheets.
But I actually don't have, I don't take on clients. Screw the 9-to-5 is my exclusive client for services. But I'm always more than happy to just like chat about, Renee. I'm always happy to chat about, things that I've learned and things that I'm implementing with other people to help them, get their businesses moving forward, because I feel like it's such an important part. Like, operations is so huge when it comes to building your own business. And a lot of people, they don't set up that foundation from the beginning, or they set up a weak foundation. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to make sure that, you have like systems and processes in place to make sure that it runs like the business that you want it to, and then you're not working on your business as much.
Yeah. So see, this is what I love about your story, because I feel like everyone in the entrepreneur world sees the success stories and sees all these people out there like building their business and making all this money and doing all these things. But the truth is, there are so many different paths to get to somewhere you want to be. So in your case, you have the opportunity to keep doing your own business and being your own boss in a way, but then you had this kind of cool opportunity come upon you that you're like, yeah, okay, I can do that. Yeah. Part-time, sure. And then all of a sudden this new door opened up. And as you said, it's all the fun things that you love to do. And even though you're not your own boss, you're working for other entrepreneurs and helping them build their business. So like, you're a key part of that business. I know that because I see all of the things that they make you do. Disclaimer, Nadja and I and Tom all met through the 9-to-5 and Screw You. So we go back. But like, just seeing that revolution of, hey, we're entrepreneurs. Now we have a team of entrepreneurs, and you guys are still all kind of open to be able to do your own things if you want to, but you're also helping and able to kind of build this business from the inside out, which is such a cool thing. And it's like the best collaboration ever.
Well, and that's the beauty, like you were saying, there are multiple paths of entrepreneurship, and this just happens to be one of those situations where, I mean, I guess in a way people could look at it as if like I've put myself into another 9-to-5, but that's not the case, because like my schedule isn't dictated. Like I can still, like just last week, we just got back from Chicago, like me and my daughters and my brothers. My husband was working Lollapalooza. So I was,
awesome.
So I was like, you know what? I've never been to Chicago. We're going to come with you. We're going to tag along. And he's like, okay, you won't see me because I'll be working the whole time. And I'm like, it's cool.
I want to.
Yeah. No big deal. We'll be tourists. And so, like in a traditional 9-to-5, I would have had to request that time off, make sure that it didn't clash with anybody else's schedule. And then, in my head, I would have been completely disconnected from the job. Whereas in this situation, like I actually, in the mornings, like while the kids were having breakfast, I'd sit there and I'd, answer some emails and I'd kind of check in the community, like, and then we'd go do our excursion. And then while we're waiting in line, I can sit there and, do a little bit more work, but it didn't feel like work. It was like, that's my go-to whenever I'm not doing anything. I'm like, oh, well, I'm just going to check the Facebook group real quick. Or, oh, I'm going to respond to these emails. Or, oh, this chat came through intercom. Let me just respond to this real quick. So it's all about, it's just so different because I don't have to worry about all of the, the corporate red tape that goes along with everything, where, oh, okay, I have to put in this many hours, this day, this week, this month, or whatever it is. It's like, it's your own schedule. As long as the work gets done, that's the biggest thing. And what's the point in doing something like this if you can't stand in line, while with your kids while you're waiting to go up Sears Tower or Willis Tower or whatever it is and respond to a couple of emails.
Yeah, totally.
Working while on vacation. And it doesn't feel like work.
I know. I totally agree. And I think for us, especially as family entrepreneurs, like that right there is the biggest allure to being able to do this stuff full time, is for us to have that freedom to go on vacation. And I'll work when I need to work or when I want to work while I'm on vacation. But otherwise, I'm going to go do cool stuff with my kids and with my spouse and hang out with my family and friends. And, it's so powerful to be able to do that. And I think, honestly, it doesn't really matter how you get there.
Yeah.
As long as you get there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then as long as it's a company that you like really feel strongly, like you mesh with their ideals and values and things like that. And that's one of the things, like, I believe so strongly in what Screw the 9-to-5 is doing. Like, I believe in the movement because, Screw the 9-to-5 is all about disrupting the status quo. And that status quo is that, you grow up believing that you have to go to school and then you have to get really good grades so you can get into a really good college, so you can get a really good degree so that you can get a really good job that pays really well. But the reality is you go to school, you put in all this work, you go to college, you put in all this work. And at the end of the day, I mean, like, what are the statistics nowadays? There are so many college graduates right now that they graduate in however much debt because they've gone to higher education, and then they cannot find a job because they're overqualified.
Yep.
And then they have to start at entry level, but entry level, they want you to have some sort of experience to begin with, right? So they're stuck in this conundrum, and it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, so you need this experience to be able to get this entry level job. How do you get that experience? Well, nowadays, everyone is creating that experience for themselves. So they're going into entrepreneurship. Like, that is the avenue that they can take. And Screw the 9-to-5 is all about encouraging that. Like, you don't have to go the traditional route. You can be a little different, and that's okay. Like, that is okay. There's nothing wrong with being different. You don't have to follow and fall into everybody else's norms and, into the sculpture that everybody expects you to be. If you are passionate about web design, go do web design. Yeah. And you don't have to do it for a company. You can do it for yourself, because then you can pick your own clients. You don't have to worry about somebody saying, I want X, Y, and Z, and I'm only paying you this much. And then you put in like 120 hours worth of work for, piddly squat. I'm trying really hard not to swear.
Oh, this is too funny. I actually don't know if we've had anyone. I totally swore on it live last night, but I don't know if we've had anyone swear on the show. But to each their own.
I'm reining it in Okay.
You're reining it in. Oh my goodness. I had a guest expert on Monday. She was like, I didn't drop any F-bombs. Yay!
Yeah, I'm trying really hard not to do that. Like, I had to catch myself every now and then. I'm like, okay, say a different word.
Yeah, and I'm a perfect example of someone who did the traditional route, as I was supposed to. I went to school. I got good grades. I got into a great college that I didn't end up going to because it was super expensive, and it was a couple states away. So I found a college here that had the major I wanted, and it was only 2 hours away from home. My parents were like, well, if you want to switch, feel free. Okay, great. Went to college for 4 years. I worked my butt off because I was a science major, and I also played 4 years of college D3 soccer, which was insanity. Somehow managed to still graduate on time with a zoology degree. Went into, I think somewhere close to like $50,000 in debt because my parents didn't pay. We had always agreed, like, we'll help you with your living situation, with your vehicle, but we're not going to pay for your college. And I'm like, well, that's fine. I don't want you guys to pay for college. I'll take student loans out like everyone else. Well, $50,000 later in student loan debt. Now I'm like, great, I have a degree that doesn't pay very well, if you can even find a job related to that degree. So, I ended up working in an animal shelter, which was amazing. It was an amazing experience, but I was only making, like $10 an hour. So nowhere near enough to ever pay off that student loan. And I didn't have to get a zoology degree to work there. I could have worked there from after graduating high school. So, and then, I worked in offices and I did random things, and now here I am, I'm an entrepreneur and I do random things. So, as much as the experience helped me grow, and I did, I learned comprehensive skills and, time management and all that with playing a sport and going to college. I didn't really need to spend that much money on getting a degree. So we both talked about it because Tom feels very similar. And, he did go to college, which actually was for computer programming, which a lot of people don't know. He was the geeky kid in the computer lab, and that's where we spent our Valentine's Day one time. Super cool. And all the kids were looking at him like, that's your girlfriend, man?
That's the best.
Oh gosh. So, he went to school for that, ended up going back to school for a management program, and then got into like the lean agile space. So it's like, really, he didn't need that computer programming degree, but that's kind of where it led to him coming out of school, getting a job, a 9 to 5, and then having the opportunity to go and get that management degree through his company and, get into some of the other stuff. So I think it's so hard these days for kids to kind of figure all that stuff out. And we've always said, like, our kids are going to have the option. So we're going to really have those conversations about what they're interested in, what they think they'd like to do. And, if it is something that requires college, by all means, go ahead and go. But be smart about it. Take other classes while you're there. Like, get the most out of that college education. Don't just go for what you want to major in. And then if they don't need to go to college for it, we'll probably kind of try to, help them find their way in some different areas, because I don't want to actually force them to do anything.
Right.
I think that's part of the problem too, is like, you can't go to college. You have to be an entrepreneur. No, you find your way, little chicklings.
Right. Well, and also kids are monkey see, monkey do. So they see what you're doing. They're going to mimic it. There's somebody inside of Screw You, Heather, she, her kids are little entrepreneurs right now. And so they,
they're pictures.
Yeah, so they started their own little business, and what is it, like duct tape wallets
or
something
so.
like
and now
that?
They've expanded to keychains.
Yeah, but it's so cool because they're so young and they're seeing their mother do this and go through the motions, and they're asking her like, oh, how can we do something similar? Mm-hmm. Like, how can we earn money so that we can buy, what was it, a hamster?
They really want a hamster, and she told them they had to raise their own money for it, and she's charging them a monthly fee to like have the materials and the food cost covered.
Yeah. Okay,
she really doesn't want one.
See, that's amazing because they're thinking outside of the box. They're not being taught that, oh, well, you have to wait until your birthday so that somebody can give it to you. Yes. Or you have to wait until you're old enough to get a job and then you can buy your own. Like, she's encouraging them, like, there are other means, there are other ways to get what you want. It's up to you to figure out how creative do you want to be to achieve that goal. And so, I mean, really, isn't that pretty much what an entrepreneur is? Just trying to figure out the most creative way to reach a goal. Like that's all entrepreneurs do. Yeah. They solve a problem creatively. And so that's what the kids are doing. And I think it's just so amazing. Like, it's one of those things I was trying to show Liliana, our almost 6-year-old. I was like, hey, look, this is what they're doing. See, they're earning their own money so they can buy their own things. And then she's like, well, can't you just give me your credit card? Doesn't that have money on it? And I'm like, kid, you are learning it wrong. She's like, you have money. Give me your card.
Yeah, we had the same situation pop up for something. Oh, our daughter really wants to go to Disney World. She's been watching this YouTube show. They vlog. I think their name is Daily Bumps. And it's actually, I feel like I'm watching a TV show. Like, they've been doing it for years. And it's really cute and it's family friendly. But of course, she just watched the episode where they went to Disney World and they got to do all this cool stuff. Mommy, when can we go to Disney World? And I said, well, you know what? Disney World costs a lot of money. So until Mommy and Daddy have saved it all up, and if you want to help with that, you're welcome to. Right. You can't go to Disney World. Oh, okay. So then, she'll ask in the store, can I buy that? I'll give you my own money for it. Mm-hmm. Sure, go ahead. And I said, but you got to remember how much money you're spending because you spend it all, then you have to figure out how to make more. So now she keeps asking us what she can do. Well, can I do this and can I get some money for doing it? I'm like, right, we're starting. Now we got to get you on the right track. So I'm sure this kid's going to have a YouTube channel at some point because she's obsessed with YouTube.
Nice. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like the kids, it makes it so easy for them. Like with YouTube and things like that. I mean, you see all these kids that have their own YouTube channels and they're making so much more money than people that are in their 9-to-5s. It's kind of embarrassing. It's like that kid like doubles what my income is and they're like 7.
Yeah.
And all they're doing is opening freaking toys.
Yep. Surprise toys. Oh, the cutting open of the squishies. Have you seen those?
God, yes. Those drive me insane.
Yep, we got those. Her favorites are between Daily Bumps and Ryan's Toys Review. So FYI, parents out there.
Yeah. Watch out.
They're too family friendly. I do like them. They are educational to an extent, and they're normal. There's nothing weird or creepy about them. So I'm like, okay, you can watch those too. Let's just double check out on the other ones. All right. Before we wrap it up, I would love for you to share your biggest lesson learned or like your biggest piece of advice for all the family entrepreneurs out there.
Okay, so my biggest piece of advice for everyone is basically just like really focus on learning patience because entrepreneurship is a difficult road. Like, I'm not going to glamorize it and say that, oh, it was so easy. Like, I transitioned from this, and this, and now I'm making this much money, and it's so great. It's really hard. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and you need to make sure that you have a lot of patience, not just with yourself, but with your family, because you need to make sure that your spouse understands what you're doing and what your goals are, that your kids understand what you are doing, what your goals are. So making sure that communication is open, because that's one of the things, if you not keep things secret, but like if you don't share it with them, the highs and the lows, they're not going to understand it. Yeah. And so one of the things that I find myself, like I catch myself doing this all the time is, like I'll be on a conversation like this or a live call or whatever it is, a meeting, whatever it may be. And then the kids will come in. And my first reaction is always like, get out. But I have to like stop and think about it again. Cause it's like, okay, the reason I did this was so that I can have them here. like whenever I have a meeting and not have to worry about it. So it's about letting them understand that, okay, when mommy is talking to the computer, when mommy is talking to the computer, you have to say, excuse me, or you try to get my attention and I will let you know when it's okay. Don't just come screaming in here, so.
And please don't be naked.
And please don't be naked and don't like throw things at me, because that happens too. Like all of a sudden you see like a ball like just hit me in the face and I'm like, nobody saw that, right? But patience is definitely the biggest thing. So be patient with yourself, be patient with your family. Even if they don't understand, eventually they will. And it's just, keep that communication open. I mean, it is hard. There's a lot of bumps in the roads, but it's so worth it. Like it makes it so worth it in the end. And that's what I have to keep remembering whenever I get frustrated. It's like, okay, I did this for a reason, even though you are getting on my nerves right now. And I wish I had a nanny. But yeah, so
I love that. Well, and patience is such a useful tool all the way around, because you need it as an entrepreneur, but you also need it as a parent and a spouse sometimes. Sure. So, I mean, that'll just help you in all aspects of your life. Okay, all the time.
Yeah. I heart you.
All right, so we really do love you, husbands. So where can people find you? I know you kind of have your own social media, but then also you can share, like the Screw the 9 to 5 group, because you're in there all the time too.
Yeah. So my social media channels, basically you can follow me on Instagram. I am at Nadjanator. So that's NADJINATOR, Nadjanator. But on Facebook, the best place to find me is inside the Screw community. So it's screwcommunity.com. It's a free Facebook group for Screw the 9 to 5. And it's a closed group too. So you have to request access, but just make sure that you answer the questions so that we can let you in. But that's going to be the best place to find me and chat with me. And then obviously Screw You is the membership community, and that's where you're going to have the most access to me. So that's joinscrewyou.com.
Awesome. Yay. I'm so excited. And you have your cup. I just noticed that. By the way, we are enjoying some daytime adult drinks because, let's be honest, you can do that when you're an entrepreneur.
Oh, it's the best.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I know everyone's going to love it and everyone's going to love you. So, we'll be seeing you soon.
Yes, you will see me around. You'll find me everywhere. I'm always kind of lurking in the corners. So.
The Nadjanator, and then you're the reason that Tom's nickname is the Tominator.
The Tominator, yeah. But ticking.
By the way, your husband's watching because he says thanks.
Oh, hearts.
Thanks, Lance. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode of Member Stories. If you're watching the replay and you've got a question for one of us, please go ahead and throw it in the comments and tag Nadja or myself, and we'll be sure to come back and respond. All right, everyone, have an awesome day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.